What's up, my dudes? What the fuck? Literally overjumped a 5 foot tabletop by 5 foot and died. You gotta love it, boys. Either way, just letting you guys know, if you want to get into my Discord, all you gotta do is either A, go hit me up on Instagram at Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. DM me on there and I'll get you in on the Discord. Or add me on Steam, also at Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. And I will automatically invite you into my Discord that way. So, yeah, if some of you guys are trying to get in on that action, that's how you do it. I do actually randomly get on Discord and just randomly invite people to play PUBG and shit like that all the time. So, in other motocross games as well. That's kind of a little bit of where my community trying to build that instant being able to talk to anybody kind of thing. Obviously, that's what Discord's used for, but you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to get all that going. So either way, wanted to get in here and talk about this whole idea of like the new MXGP 2019. What the hell is it actually going to feel like on the bike? I've seen quite a bit of gameplay, obviously. So you can kind of go off quite a bit from what you're seeing, but still, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know if it's going to be more like that MXGP Pro trying to be more realistic, kind of, sort of, but it's really more janky than anything, or if it's going to be more like, like the old school Milestone where it's not as wild, trying to go like that super, almost like a simulator pop off on a 5 foot jump, or like, slide out on nothing type action. I don't know if it's going to go down that sort of road again or not. I mean, from the gameplay I've seen, it still has that Milestone weird ass, like you're on ice, the back end just sliding all over the goddamn place in every corner. It still kind of has that, which it did have that even back in the day. Milestones, just their bike physics in general, not even talking about the more, I hate to even say realistic whenever I say MXGP Pro, because it gives like that more realistic motocross game such a bad name. It just basically spits it on the face of it, really, because that's not really realistic arcade motocross physics in MXGP Pro. It's not. That's what you call a shitty ass try at realistic motocross physics in an arcade motocross game, right? Reflex on Xbox 360 with your little quick steering adjustment all the way to super quick steering. That's a good example of, down that road of more realistic arcade motocross game physics. That's really where it's at. But a lot of people get twisted with that because MXGP Pro was kind of supposed to be this whole more realistic, motocross game physics game, more hard for the hardcore fans and all that. It just didn't really even pan out to be like that. So I don't want people to get twisted on that. But I mean, you guys seen with Supercross 2, right? How that didn't like totally go backwards to like before MXGP Pro milestone physics, right? It wasn't like that went back to the days of like, what the hell is that milestone? I literally cannot land that right there at all. Like, God, it didn't go back to the original, the first Supercross games, like kind of more easy physics system, never pop off the bike, overjump something 3,000 feet and not pop off. It didn't really go back to that in Supercross 2. Some of you guys realize it was kind of like a mixture between the two. And I feel like that's probably the vibe you're going to get with the MXGP 2019, right? I think that's going to be more like it. But they run into such an issue in the sense of the damn jumps and the rollers and the like hitting a rut in a corner, all that kind of crap on their MXGP national tracks are not even like built difficult enough scaling wise to even make the bike wreck. So then they have to like add in all these little things like where you pop off the bike. If you just barely overjumps a little 3 foot tabletop by 5 feet, you're going to pop off because that's the only way you would ever pop off, right? Or they've got to make it to where you barely hit a corner, like would just slide. I mean, literally less than 1% too much throttle and it just slides out and you can't fix it and you wreck. They've got to have almost like so extreme, so janky to the physics of MXGP Pro where you wreck so instantaneously. It doesn't even really feel like an arcade motocross game. Like I'm saying, it's that weird, almost like a simulator, but completely failed attempt at it, right? Failed execution. That's kind of what it feels like in MXGP Pro. That's kind of what you have, but they can't even get like the skill gap. I mean, just think back to like MX vs. ATV Unleashed, right? Or Untamed, how big some of those jumps were, you know, and even to those physics way back in those days, you actually had like jump skill gap because you were actually jumping more than 50 feet on most jumps, right? You actually had that sort of skill to it. You had big berms. They didn't really have a whole lot of ruts back in those days, but funny how that kind of reminds me of those days, these new milestone games. It's like the actual on track, believe it or not, funny as hell when you realize this, basically like the same exact sort of thing as back in those days of MX vs. ATV Unleashed and Untamed, minus the super fun big jump, you know, seat bouncing, having that whole skill to it, and the big berms, but it's like flat tracking, kind of like you did back in those days in a sense, you know? Like there's no really hardcore inside ruts. I know they did get a little bit more of that with Untamed versus Unleashed, but it's funny because it's literally like Milestone has 15-year-old outdated on-track designs to their games. Literally. Not even joking around when I say that. So either way, but as far as MXGP 2019, I mean, good God, I don't know, boys. I'm seeing the weird kind of little slide bazaar thing off. I mean, it just, to me, it seems like it's probably going to be not like full-blown MXGP Pro, not full-blown the first Supercross game, but it's going to be kind of like Supercross 2 in a motocross, you know, game environment. Supercross 2's physics system in a motocross game environment. Pretty much what it looks like to me. You know, and we've learned that that's pretty much what Milestone does. They just kind of carry over, you know, that pretty much that whole whatever particular year is going to feel pretty similar. Like, whatever it is. Let me wreck on that goddamn thing every lap. There's just a balance to it, right? I mean, you know, like, you want to pop off if you overjump something way too far, like you would in real life, or you case something, like case a main triple really hard. You want to have that potential of popping off, but you don't want it so touchy, so, like, barely overjump something and pop off, because that's just not even realistic at all, right? Like, that would never happen in real life. So, you know, I just feel like Milestone, it gets so off on their what a real life dirt bike would actually do in that certain height of a jump, over jump type scenario. And then you go back to the days of the original Supercross game and you can literally under jump a 100-foot triple as bad as you could possibly case it, and you're just going to bounce off of it like a pillow, right? The whoops have no skill gap at all. Rollers have no skill gap at all. That's what I get into when I talk about the whole, I mean, they can do more with the tracks, and you've kind of seen that with some of the crazy big scaling custom tracks in Supercross 2 that some of the community has made and stuff. It can be really fun in those games, and you can get some big-ass quad jumps, some fun shit to hit, but it doesn't fix the core problem of their games, which is the core physics system, right? Like, you can't, it's to that point where you can't just meld it and shape it into what you want it to be. It's so fucked to the core to where you're going to have to totally cut it down, start from damn near scratch if you ever want it to have that real whoop skill gap, jump skill gap, you know, true whip system filling in the air, true in-air filling. There, I mean, I think it's time for Milestone to do that. I'm just saying, I think it's time for them to totally scrape that physics system down and reinvent the whole thing, man. Like, redo it. Like, that's what you should do. But I'm just saying, I know that's going to take a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of money, but it will pay dividends in your decades lasting potential. You understand what I'm saying? If you keep on down this road, you ain't going to have another 3 more years worth of, you know, games and stuff. People stop buying it because they're tired of it, right? Now, I mean, Milestone does have an okay ground physics system to it. It's okay, even though, like I was saying before, it can have that really bizarre, like, ass-in slide, and there's no, like, diving into inside ruts or really any of that going on, right? It's this bizarre, like, you just slide, basically. I don't know. I mean, it's okay, I guess. I certainly think their ground physics is way better than their air physics has ever been. I mean, Milestone has lacked so hardcore in the air side of shit, not just in not giving us enough big jumps in general, but just the way the bike feels in the air. It doesn't even feel right in the air, period. It doesn't even feel like you're in the air when you jump in a Milestone game. It's so bizarre. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, you jump in the air, but you still feel like you're on the ground. It's so fucking weird. Like, you know how when you're on reflex or whatever and you hit a booter ass jump, 200-foot booter, like, there's a whole different feeling when you get in the air in that game versus being on the ground, like hitting a sand roller rut or something, you know. It's just, I don't know, it's just totally different. But you gonna let me hit this shit, Milestone? No. They're not gonna let me hit it. Oh god, it's like, why would you even have that little quad roller right there if I can't even land on it anyways? What the hell's the point? Like, God, wow, MXGP Pro, fucking 10 out of 10, boys. God dang terrible game. So, but the whole point of this video, I'm kind of getting off on some little tangents here. Not that Spencer Turley ever does that or anything, but it's kind of funny because, like, you just think about how much is really going to change, how much is not really going to change from how, like, Supercross 2 feels to MXGP 2019. I have no idea. It doesn't look like all that much, though. I mean, really, it doesn't. But I mean, that was my concern back in the day, was like, if they ever go to that more pro whatever, MXGP Pro, whatever the hell you want to call it, physics system, can they really go backwards at that point? I don't know. And they kind of did with Supercross 2, but not really. I mean, Supercross 2 still has a lot of the feelings of MXGP Pro, right? It really does. I do think they did fix their little pop-off on nothing system quite a bit, but I mean, moral of the whole story here, I can tell you that it ain't going to be that much different from what you know from a Milestone game. Like, it's just not. It's like, whenever I say it's going to take them another 5+ years to really get that different physics system, I mean it, dog. Like, 5 years. It's not going to be oh, this next game's going to feel completely different physics, or the whips are going to feel completely different, or the cornering's going to feel completely different, or the on-track designs are going to feel completely different, or that's never going to happen. It's literally never going to happen. The games come out so frequently that it's way more of the same than it ever has been different, right? So you can't expect much more. And a lot of people, I think they give Milestone a little too much credit. They give them just a little too much. They think it's going to be more than what it could even possibly be, right? You gotta love that, like, one axis turning with the whips. Oh my god. This was after all the updates that they put to MXGP Pro. It was twice as bad when it first came out. Same way as Supercross 2, right? That shit was twice as bad when it first came out. Then we all had to rant about it. Then they went in there and started fixing some shit, right? To make it, like, somewhat bearable, but, oh, boys. I mean, it's something else. I don't know. There's a weird thing where, like, you can build a big-ass jump, but if your physics don't really feel like you're jumping in the air, that sort of gravity change when you go from the ground to the air, you don't really get that in-air feeling, you know what I'm saying? It don't really matter how big the jump is, because it's not even going to really feel like you're in the air anyways. It's bizarre. Like, these Milestone games have a very weird, very cheap version of MX versus ATV in-air physics feeling. Very, almost like a damn, I don't even know how to explain it, like a knockoff motocross physics game or something in the air. It's really bizarre, and they've had that issue from the beginning. I mean, you can tell the Milestone games have been, from the jump, built around the ground side of everything, not the air side. Like, that's why you have a little bit of that natural slide in the corners and stuff, and a lot of people do somewhat like the Milestone, ground physics and stuff like that. It's the air physics that you can obviously see has not even really been meant for the game at all. That's why you're all of your jumps on MXGP, the first game, second game, third game, MXGP Pro, right? All those jumps are super small on all those games because they don't want you to jump to even see what the hell their inner physics are like. That's what I'm saying. And all their freeride compounds, they don't even want you to jump some 200-foot desert dune jump and try to whip because it's literally going to look like a completely uncompleted, janky-ass, buggy physics system. It, like, literally, if you could jump a 200-foot jump in some kind of way on MXGP Pro and you tried to whip, I don't even want to see what the hell that would look like. That would look so bad. It looks so terrible. Like, it would not look normal at all. You know, they kind of, it's almost like they keep all their jumps small enough to where you don't even see how bad the physics really are, in a way. It's bizarre, but that's how it is. So, but either way, as far as MXGP 2019, yeah, obviously we're going to have to wait and see what the hell it's going to feel like, but we've been down this road so many goddamn times before at this point, boys. Like, it's just, it ain't going to blow your mind, I can promise you. It ain't going to be like, whoa, this is so much different, whoa. I mean, literally, it's going to be like Supercross 2 with maybe a 10% physics improvement over it. Maybe. I mean, that's pushing it for Milestone, really. But, I don't know if it's going to be more, they're going to kind of continue down the road of sort of like where they kind of keep a little bit of the MXGP Pro physics like in Supercross 2, but then try to TLC and warp that, or if they're kind of like going backwards in a way to the way the physics were before MXGP Pro and then advance that. Not exactly 100 on that. I don't know exactly which one that they're going to be doing there, but either way, man, really hope they give us that option for the whipping with both the thumbsticks the same direction instead of the opposite direction. That'd be sick in MXGP 2019, which they do give you kind of sort of that option, but not really, because then it fucks you in the corners. They did put that, I think, in Supercross 2, where you can turn both your thumbsticks the same direction to whip, but it jacks you in the corners because it changes your whole steering in the corners. So you can't even steer very good in the corners at that point. It's really weird. I don't know. But either way, that's my little video. Just wanted to kind of make something on the MXGP like 2019. Is it going to be more like MXGP Pro? Is it going to be more like the first Supercross game or MXGP 3 physics filling? Like, you know, the jumps don't look hardly different at all. So that's going to be boring as shit. And there's no inside ruts, no roughness, none of that, no kickers, nothing really like that. So yeah, I mean, just look at it. It's really, at the end of the day, it's all you have to do. Go look at some of that early gameplay, save your fucking money this year, boys. I'm just telling you right now, save your money, or at least wait until some YouTubers, specifically somebody like me, has bought the game and tried it out and seen it and made content on it, giving you real opinions, not sugar-coated opinions. At least wait until that before you fork over the cash. Definitely that'd be a smart idea this year, no doubt about it, because there's really just no telling what we're going to get out of it. But it doesn't look good from the jump of the early gameplay. So, and even in the shitty ass bare bones track editor and all that, I don't know, dudes. So we're just gonna have to see how she is when she comes out. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.